A lot of folks call GLP-1s the magic fat jab, and they definitely feel that way. They can feel like magic. I mean, I've lost 80 pounds in 6 months, which is the fastest I've ever lost weight before, and I feel better than I've ever felt. But the truth is they're just a tool, a very effective tool nonetheless, don't get me wrong, but a tool that has real upsides, real downsides, and some downright scary risks that most people gloss over. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what happens when you start on a GLP-1, including the good stuff that nobody talks about, the bad stuff that everyone warns about, and the ugly long-term consequences of not getting your weight under control. If you're thinking about starting Zepbound, Mounjaro, Wegovy, or Ozempic, or maybe you've already started, this is the video you're going to watch before you take your next step. Let's get real. Hey guys, my name is Chris. Welcome to the channel where we talk all things GLP-1, weight loss, and lifestyle changes to live a happier and healthier life. So glad that you guys are tuning in. Big shout out to all those that have subbed. The channel's growing really quickly. I was hoping to reach a handful of folks here and there, but I do want to thank you all for hitting that subscribe button. Again, I'm not trying to be a YouTuber per se. If that ends up being a thing, hey, cool, whatever. But I want to be a filmmaker. That's my dream. But I did want to reach people so I could help people. And hopefully by sharing my journey and my ups and downs and tips and tricks and whatever, I'm able to help somebody along the way get to a better results and get there faster and healthier than I did. So that's what I'm hoping for. So you guys subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, all that stuff boosts the algorithm so more people see it. And ultimately, that's what I want. So I do appreciate that. So again, just real quick right off the top, you guys have, you touched me. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And I hope that you guys are getting something out of here, and I hope I don't let you down. But today I did want to get into the effects of the medication. And I'm not talking about, whether it works or not, or sticking to it, or the diet or anything like that. I'm talking about the effects, both the intended and the unfortunate of this medication or these medications. It is, of course, multiple medications that make up the GLP-1s that I'm going to talk about. And I do have notes in front of me I'm going to be referencing because some of the stuff I haven't actually encountered. So I'll be sharing that. I'll be sharing some personal experiences, but this may go really quickly. I don't know. I've got it all listed out, and I'm not going to a ton of details on this stuff, but I do want to cover the things that you may run into, maybe you have run into. And again, share some numbers about what it looks like if we don't get our weight under control. I think that's fair to bring that up as well, because while there are effects and side effects of the medication, there are definitely some side effects of not getting our weight under control. And as I was talking to my first doctor, my doctor I've had for years about this, he was weighing those out, and he's like, yeah, I think it would be better for you to get on GLP-1. And of course, he wouldn't prescribe it, and I had to find another doctor who would, and so I ditched that guy. But long story short, when you weigh out the options, maybe the GLP-1 is right for you, maybe it isn't, and maybe this video helps you. And I will say right off the bat that, again, I do appreciate the subs and the likes and the comments and all. One thing I would say with this, whether you're already further along down in your journey, or you're just getting started, or you're just kind of figuring out if GLP-1s are right or not, maybe that's you, or maybe that's somebody you know. So in this video, I would say if this can apply to somebody that you know that maybe hasn't seen the channel yet, don't be afraid to hit that share button down there. I think if you have a YouTube channel or YouTube account, you can repost it. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Again, sorry. IT guy, but not IT guy at the same time. But I think you can repost it like your channel or something like that. But I know you can share the link, and you can share it out to friends and family. You can share the channel, or you can share the link to this video itself. But I'm hoping this helps some people, whether I talk them out of getting on a GLP-1 or talk them into it or whatever. I just think it's fair to kind of go through and note a lot of what the expectations can be. So again, I do have notes. I'm going to be looking at them quite a bit. And normally I try to look right at you guys because you're all so lovely. Woo! And I appreciate you being here. But if you see me glance over, I do apologize in advance about being unprofessional here. But I am going to reference my notes there. So before we get to the good, the bad, and the ugly, I think it's fair to briefly go over, and I do mean briefly because there's too many videos out there on YouTube about this already. I don't mean too many as a bad thing. I just mean there's so many. I don't want to fall in that mix. But I do briefly want to go over what a GLP-1 is and some differences. So GLP-1 agonists are a class of medications that mimic the action of glucagon-like peptide 1 or GLP-1, obviously we call that for short. That's a natural hormone that's released by your gut after eating. GLP-1 normally does 3 key things. Okay, so we're mimicking this by taking these medications. Here's what GLP-1s normally do. Signals your brain that you're full, which reduces your appetite and food noise. Slows gastric emptying, makes you feel fuller longer. Stimulates insulin release and lowers glucagon. I'm not a doctor. There's a disclaimer down there for a reason. I barely know what I'm talking about when I speak English, okay? I'm from the South. I'm not the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. I'm not saying Southern people aren't, but y'all already think we kind of slow because we talk slow, we live slow and everything like that. And then I'm a little slower on top of that. So don't judge. Don't judge. Maybe judge a little. It's okay. Anyways, stimulates insulin release and lowers glucagon, which gives you better blood sugar control. Then, of course, the GLP-1s that we talk about. I know there's the new one they're looking at, the retatrutide, I think is how you say it. That's not legal yet. I think people can get it here and there, but it's not legal yet. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about semaglutides or semaglutides, depending on how you pronounce it, and tirzepatides and the differences between those real quick. So semaglutides, of course, those are Ozempic and Wegovy. Everybody's Ozempic face, Ozempic. Okay, all right, whatever. Those are just single GLP-1 receptor agonists. They just have the one kind of ingredient there, the one action that they do there. Now, tirzepatide, that is the Zepbound or Mounjaro. Those have the GLP-1 agonist, but they also have a GIP receptor as well. So that actually gives it a stronger effect on appetite suppression and fat metabolism, which is why clinical trials and real-world data shows it produces about 5 to 7% more average weight loss than semaglutide at the maximum doses. But I'm not saying you got to be at the maximum doses for this to be effective at all. Definitely not saying that. Okay. All right. Fun fact, in head-to-head trials, tirzepatide users lost so much weight that doctors had to stop the study early because the difference was already so dramatic. One group was literally out losing the other by double-digit percentages before the trial ever finished. How about that? All right. So let's go ahead and get into the good. So obviously on these medications, the number one good that we get into is going to be the weight loss, right? That's why we're doing it. So let's look at those. So on semaglutide, short term, which is about 3 to 6 months, you're looking at results of about 5 to 10% body weight loss on average. Long term, talking a year or more, average of 13 to 15% body weight loss. Excellent. Awesome. And again, you can go and pull up different GLP-1 advocates. You can pull up doctors' pages. I had a couple linked in the last show notes on the last video, and you may get different numbers. This is just the average that I've kind of found across the board that I think is fair to go by. Now, results can vary from person to person. If you don't do anything, you don't change anything, you're not going to lose anything. But if you make small lifestyle changes, you can expect results like this. So, just kind of keep that in mind too. On tirzepatide, you're looking short term, again, 3 to 6 months is an average of about 8 to 15% body weight loss. And long term, 1 year, you're looking at an average of about 16 to 22% body weight loss. So what I'll do is I'll throw up a comparison on over here for the semaglutide and the tirzepatide, so you can get an idea again of the difference and how much more dramatic of a result you can get from the tirzepatide than the semaglutide, which I am on Zepbound right now. And I'm kind of catching up with my, first month, second month, third month on the GLP-1 videos that I'm putting out, but I am further ahead than that, of course. And I am currently on 7.5 milligrams of Zepbound. We just hit the new year and a new prescription company just kicked in, and I'm going to have to be moving over to Wegovy. I'll talk about all that in another video, but I did just go ahead and get a 90-day supply or 3-month supply or whatever you want to call it in my last refill to kind of carry me over into the new year, at least through March, hopefully. And then we can cross that bridge when we get to it. So we'll see how that goes. But I have been loving me some Zepbound, have been loving me some tirzepatide. Again, 80 pounds down in 6 months, and I'm still going. I really haven't had that many side effects. I'll talk about that a little bit as we kind of go through them. But yeah, I've been lucky. I am super not lucky usually for most things. So maybe I'm living right. I don't know. But yeah, everybody has different results. Keep that in mind. Okay. And I'm going to give you the probability of facing some of these side effects because I was able to get that as well. So going back into it, as far as the good, right? The benefits, you're looking at neurological and mental health has some benefits as well. You got reduced risk of dementia, improved mood. Hey, reduced addiction or compulsive behaviors, better focus. And these are all pretty common. You're looking at about 10 to 30% report mood improvements, dementia risk reduced by 20 to 40% in studies, and disordered eating benefits in about 15 to 25% of the people that were studying in this. These are pretty good results right here across the board. Again, I'm also on Adderall for focus, right? For ADHD, adult ADHD, if you will. It helps me focus. And I have high cholesterol, so I'm on cholesterol medication there. I'm vitamin D deficient, so I'm on that as well. So I got a lot of things that help me out, but definitely this medication has the ability to help with focus and mood and all that. So great benefits there. Again, I don't think it's enough to slap on the box and say, this is what it'll do, but these are what we have found in studies. Also is cardiovascular health. You're looking at lower blood pressure, improved heart health markers, and this is common as well. About 20 to 50%, especially in long-term users, experience these benefits from the medication. And then other improvements include things like reduced inflammation, better sleep, increased energy, and these are maybe a little less common, but they're definitely out there, and some people will experience those. I feel like I've been getting better sleep. I don't know about the inflammation. I've definitely had increased energy, but that can come just from losing weight in general and or going to the gym in general and getting that natural dopamine and testosterone boost from doing that. So, I don't know if I can contribute it to the medication entirely or if it is definitely a mix of things. But yeah, I would say I've noticed that. All right, so now let's talk about some of the bad. You're looking at gastrointestinal issues, GI issues, right? So you got nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. These are all very, very common. You're looking at mostly mild to moderate as far as the impact of them, of course, and usually decreases after about 4 to 8 weeks. And again, everybody's different. I will say for these kind of things, I was a little worried about because I do have acid reflux and I still have it, but it is what it is. I'm not eating as much spicy food as often as I used to either, because that kind of, it sits in your gut a little longer and also it kind of flares up the acid reflux. So I kind of stay away from that, even though I do throw a little sriracha on some of that hibachi stuff I make, or I might have some wings every now and then, whatever, but I don't go overboard with it. So I can't speak to that necessarily. The nausea, the vomiting, the diarrhea, the constipation, again, different strokes for different folks. A lot of people get these and a lot of people don't. I've been very, very fortunate. I haven't had any of those until I went up to the 7.5 milligram. Now, when I started at 2.5, nothing. I had some sulfur burps and that was about it. And I could live with that. And, bless my wife's heart, but I could live with that. It was fine. But then after that, I went to 5 milligrams, no change at all. Didn't even have the sulfur burps come back. That was cool. And then I went up to 7.5 milligrams. Now, here's what happened. I took it late because it was my daughter's 13th birthday. I have one child, one little princess of daddy's, and she turns 13 one time. And she had a little sleepover with her friends, and we went out to one of those little, not a theme park, but little indoor parks or whatever with little zip lines and trampolines and all kinds of stuff like that. And they had a great time. Of course, we ate. I take care of guests. So, we had the cake and ice cream. We had wings that night, I want to say. And then the next day, I think we had pizza. We went out to one of those pizza buffets or something like that. So I didn't go all out, but I also didn't hold back either. Plus, I was at the end of my last dose, so it wasn't firing on all cylinders, and I could enjoy myself a little bit. But then I took the jab, the 7.5, for the first time, and then come that next day, I was either sitting on or bowing over into the toilet pretty much all day. I didn't really eat. I felt awful, and it was rough. It felt like a terrible stomach bug. But that was about a day and a half, maybe at the tops. And then after that, everything's been fine. I haven't had any issues. So I know some people get plugged up and get constipated for a while. Sorry, some people get the diarrhea, and some people deal with it off and on throughout their whole journey. So just know that that's definitely a possibility. I've been very, very fortunate. I'm not going to lie. I've been very, very fortunate. I haven't had to deal with that. Then you got neuropsychiatric issues like depression, anxiety. You do have suicidal possibilities out there, both in thoughts and behavior. These are those, warnings that definitely come out there. Now, those are, again, possible to rare on the neuropsychiatric issues. Not a lot of people get them. You're looking about 1 to 5% are at increased risk. So not a lot of folks deal with that. But if you do, definitely talk to your doctor for sure. And then, if you need to get some additional help, get some additional help. But you might need to cut out that medication. I would say before you do, talk to your doctor immediately and figure out a game plan so you can come off the medication safely. You can find some alternatives and you get your mental health right, because mental health is huge, very, very big. Then you also got metabolic and nutritional issues like hypoglycemia, which of course low blood sugar, nutritional deficiencies. Now, these are more uncommon, but they are more likely if you are someone with diabetes. So some other issues include kidney and pancreas issues, GI disorders, hypotension, which is low blood pressure, fainting, arthritic disorders, and some of the biggest concerns, but not yet supported enough in studies, I don't think, and you hear about these as being like the scary ones, are things like stomach paralysis, like your stomach just not working, and then vision impairment, people going blind or losing sight. Now, from what I've understood from this is more so you get more benefits by being at a higher dosage, but you also have more risk with that reward as well. So I'm not a big druggy medicine guy anyway. I would love to take less medication than more any day of the week. So I like to stay on the lower dosages as long as possible. I think that's a great way to do it. Not everybody feels that way. So I do know, again, that most of that comes with the higher dosages and being on them for a longer amount of time. And again, I don't think those are very common, but I do know that there have been some reports of those happening. So I'm not in any hurry to get to the higher dosages if I don't have to. And I don't think you should either. Despite what the original flow was to go up every month, if your medication is working at the dosage you're at, I say just stay there. There's no need to go up. Plus, you're not going to get immune to it and get used to it and then have to go up again. Just ride that wave as long as you can on as low a dose as you can. That's just, again, my opinion. I'm not a doctor. Don't listen to me, whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, now let's talk about the ugly. We're not talking about the ugly with the medication. This is the ugly if you don't get your weight under control. Now, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're somebody who struggles with weight. Whether you're on a GLP-1 or not, I think all this is good information to have. And I think this part right here is very, very important to think about. Weigh out the pros and cons of getting on a GLP-1 versus not, or other medication or not, or just starting a weight loss journey in general or not. These are some things that you can run in by not getting weight under control. Cardiovascular issues like heart disease, heart failure, hypertension, coronary artery disease, atrial fibrillation, stroke. The risk doubles every decade after 40. Okay. So as far as the cardiovascular stuff, yes, you're going to double the risk every 10 years after you hit 40. That's just how biology works, how science works, how medicine works, how our bodies are wired. If we're not taking care of them, things are just not going to work like they're supposed to, right? If you don't change your brakes every now and then, or change your oil, or put new tires on the car, I mean, you can't expect the same performance. That's the same way with our bodies. It just is what it is. Some other stuff you're looking at is metabolic, endocrine issues, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, fatty liver, psoriasis, high cholesterol. You're looking about 50 to 80% of morbidly obese people develop diabetes by age 50 to 60. So whether you have it now or not, know that that comes with an increased possibility if you don't get the weight off. Then you're looking at musculoskeletal issues as well. Severe osteoarthritis with like knees, hips, back, chronic joint pain, lower back pain, spinal disc degeneration, which is something that I've been having in my neck. Specifically, I've been trying to get that treated with a chiropractor. Had to take a break because I got a little expensive and I had to catch up a little bit, but I'm planning on going back. But yeah, a disc degeneration with all that extra weight is definitely something that happens. Plantar fasciitis, which a lot of people deal with. I think I do, but I've never been diagnosed. Keep in mind that every extra pound that you add to your body is the equivalence of 4 to 6 pounds of added force on your knees. And as we age, our mobility and stability are two of the biggest things that are going to determine if we're going to stick around long term or not, or if we're going to avoid the falls, slips, trips, and falls. Those are like one of the number one things that elderly people have to deal with as they age that can really mess them up. Then you got inactivity causes muscle loss, even worse on joint stress, respiratory issues like sleep apnea, which I have, reduced lung capacity, increased risk of pneumonia. I have asthma. I've always had asthma. So being bigger definitely takes a toll on that, I would say. And losing weight has been very beneficial. I'm definitely noticing that I'm not using my inhalers and whatnot as much. You can probably hear me, breathing quite a bit. That's just how I am, I guess. But, hopefully anyway, it's better. And then a scary one that nobody really wants to talk about, of course, that's going to be cancer, right? So people that are morbidly obese are at a significantly higher risk of about 13 plus different types of cancer. You're looking at endometrial, breast, colon, kidney, pancreas, liver, gallbladder, esophagus, and more. Risks increases 20 to 50% per 5 BMI points. Inflammation from fat tissue drives the increase over time. You're looking at the fat overall, your visceral fat specifically. Again, there's no way to necessarily, and I don't care what other people say, this is one where I'm going to put my foot down because it's back. You cannot target your fat loss, whether it's in your arms or your gut or your visceral fat. Fat's fat. When you gain fat, it all goes, to the same place consistently over and over again. When you lose fat, it starts pulling from the same place over and over again consistently. You cannot control where it goes, where it pulls, whatever, unless you go out and get some kind of surgery. So yes, visceral fat is just a different type of fat that's around your organs that you need to lose. It's important that you lose. It is very dangerous to have visceral fat or high amounts of visceral fat for sure, but there's no way to target that. You just got to do the weight loss journey. You also have things like gastrointestinal issues, reproductive hormonal issues, mental health issues, mobility and frailty. I was talking about that a minute ago. Overall mortality rate goes up. One study found that followed morbidly obese adults over 40 for decades. They followed these people that were over 40. Those who stayed sedentary and did not lose significant weight had a 14-year shorter life expectancy compared to healthier weight people. That's equivalent to smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day for life. Keep this in mind. If you don't get your weight under control, these are some of the negative downsides to think about, right? So whether you do a GLP-1 or not, these are still important things to keep in mind as influential things to get on that weight loss journey. I would say definitely worth it. Look, if you're watching this video, you're probably unhappy with your weight. You're looking to lose weight. You're considering a GLP-1. Maybe you're already on a GLP-1 and was curious about this topic. A GLP-1, again, isn't right for everyone, right? But making lifestyle changes to lose weight and become a healthier version of ourselves is definitely something everyone should desire to do. A GLP-1 is just a tool, a great tool, but a tool nonetheless to assist you on this journey. Whether you're considering a GLP-1 or not, just started, or want to recalibrate your current journey, I recommend watching this video right here, where I discuss some of the crucial first steps to take before getting started in order to have a greater return on your investment. Where you go from here, I wish you all the best. Whether you do the GLP-1 or not, I hope you improve your life one way or another. Guys, don't forget to go out there and conquer the scale. Never let the scale conquer you. We'll see you on the next one.